Hi everyone. Welcome to day 33 of Watching Me Learn Spanish and day 3 of me being very sick. As in the last couple of live streams, I've had to end the stream early because I do not feel well. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did the other days, 2 tracks of language transfer, and then just read through the text I created for the theoretical 5-minute video. Even though I'm sick, I think it's important to just show up and do something to keep progress going. Okay, let's get going with track 70.
What was the word for what?
Okay.
Que. What, when it's not a question, is lo que. Lo que.
Lo que.
For example, if you want to say, I saw what you're doing. This is not a question. No? I saw what you're doing. Here, the what is not a question. Here it's lo que. I cooked what they're eating. I cooked what they're eating. Here, what is not a question. No? Yo cociné. I cooked lo que comen. Or lo que están comiendo, if we mean right now. So, what, not as a question, is lo que. How would you say, I don't want you to speak about what we spoke?
No quiero. No quiero que hables. No quiero que hables lo que. What was it we wrote?
About. But, we don't need this about. So, the first bit is I don't want you to speak. And let's speak in
No quiero que hables.
formally. I don't want you to speak. I don't want that you speak.
No quiero que hables.
No quiero que hables.
Very good. No quiero que hables about.
Is it de?
De you could use, or you could use
Sobre.
sobre. Good.
Sobre.
So, no quiero que hables de or sobre what we spoke about. And we can just say what we spoke.
No quiero que hables sobre lo que hablamos.
Lo que hablamos.
Yes, it's the same in the past. So give it to me now all together. I don't want you to speak about what we spoke about.
No quiero que hables sobre lo que hablamos.
From the beginning and thinking it through again.
No quiero que hables sobre lo que hablamos.
Good. No quiero que hables sobre lo que hablamos, or no quiero que hables de lo que hablamos. Good. But that sentence could be ambiguous, no? I mean, in your mind, when you're creating this sentence, you will have the context very strongly in your mind that you're thinking about what we spoke about the other day. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the person receiving it has that same context in their mind. They might, depends what your conversation is about. But if you don't have a context that's shared, it could be ambiguous. You could understand, I don't want you to speak about what we speak about, generally. Because of course we have hablamos, which can be past or present. No quiero que hables sobre lo que hablamos, generally. So there's 2 ways here that you could clarify. You could add something like the other day, el otro día. No quiero que hables sobre lo que hablamos el otro día. So you are showing with some time expression that it was past. Or you could use the line in the past, what we were speaking about. Because here it's interchangeable. The meaning changes so slightly, and both meanings are fine. No, if we look at English, I don't want you to speak about what we were speaking about. I don't want you to speak about what we spoke about. So maybe here in Spanish you choose the line in the past just so it's obvious that you're talking about the past. So let's give it another go, using the line in the past. I don't.
No quiero que hables sobre lo que hablábamos.
don't want you to speak about what we were speaking about. I don't want you to speak, informally still.
No quiero que hables sobre lo que hablábamos.
Very good. No quiero que hables sobre lo que hablábamos. Necessity in Spanish is... Do you remember what to do with ity words to make them Spanish?
Idad,
Good. So necessity becomes
Necesidad.
necesidad,
necesidad. To need is necesitar.
necesitar,
Good.
Necesidad.
How would you say I need?
Necesito.
necesito,
Necesito. I need you to prepare it. Let's speak formally. I need you to prepare it formally.
Necesito que prepare. Necesito que lo prepare.
In English again it would be I need that you prepare it.
Exactly.
Necesito que lo prepare.
Very good. Necesito que lo prepare. This is to you,
Necesito
formally. If you
que
wanted to
lo
make it
prepare.
clear that you were speaking to you or not speaking about him or her, how would you do that here? I need you to prepare it.
Necesito que usted lo prepare.
Very good. Necesito que usted lo prepare. Necesito que lo prepare usted. Very good. So with quiero que, necesito que, we're seeing two things that they have in common. We have a verb like quiero, necesito, a verb that's showing what we want to occur in the world, expressing our subjectivity, let's say, in this way. And we have the structural similarity that the mood tense is coming after que. To be short of, to be missing, to lack, is faltar. Quite uncomfortable translations, but this is a very common verb in Spanish. Faltar. It's used very often, this verb in Spanish. For example, you could say, I need you to prepare what's missing. I need you to prepare what's missing, what's left over, what we need to do still. So again, formally, I need you to prepare.
Necesito que
Necesito
lo prepare.
que prepare.
Good. What's missing?
Necesito que prepare lo que falta.
Lo que falta.
Necesito que prepare lo que falta. And lo que,
Necesito
because the
preparar
what
lo que
here is not a
falta.
question. Very good. The noun is also used quite often. The noun is falta, la falta. So falta means lack, lack. So if I say falta de consideración, what does it mean? Falta de consideración.
Lack of consideration.
Oh, right. Lack of consideration.
Good. Lack of consideration. It's also used with respect. Falta de respeto. Lack of respect. And it's also used in the expression hace falta. It makes lack. It makes lack, which just is another way of saying it's necessary, but it's very common. And hace falta que, of course, is followed by this mood tense. In the same way that we do with quiero que, necesito que, we will follow it with this mood tense. So, if you wanted to say using hace falta, it is necessary that we eat soon. What was the word for soon?
Is it pronto or is that Italian?
That's it. In Italian, actually, it means ready, pronto. This is why when Italians answer the phone, they say pronto, because historically, let's say, there was an operator there connecting the wires, and they were there going, ready? Are you ready? Is it ready? Can you hear me? But in Spanish, it's soon, like the British slang. People say in England, get here pronto, get here soon. So, it makes lack, hace falta, it makes lack that we eat soon.
Sorry,
Hace
can you explain
falta.
again why does that make sense? It makes lack that we eat soon?
It makes lack would be the literal translation, but literal translations are often uncomfortable, no? Especially when we're talking about fixed expressions. So hace falta is an extremely common expression, quite difficult to translate comfortably. Just another way of saying it's necessary. So, it makes lack or hace falta that we eat soon, how would it be?
Hace
Hace
falta que
falta que
pronto.
comamos pronto.
Hace falta que comamos pronto. So hace falta you will hear around a lot, and falta as a noun, you will hear it in, especially in phrases like falta de respeto, a lack of respect, you hear that a lot. And faltar as a verb, to lack or to be missing, is also very useful. To prefer in Spanish is preferir, preferir,
Preferir.
preferir. How is I prefer?
Prefiero.
It should be
Prefiero.
better, prefiero, good.
Prefiero.
So again, if you say I prefer him to stay, we're not going to say I prefer him to stay. We will say I prefer that he stays. And what are we going to do with he stays?
Prefiero que quede. Que quede. Prefiero que quede.
I think you're getting the gist now.
Mood tense.
Mood tense. So it's not just the structures that we are identifying, it's the feeling. This is very important for the mood tense. What you want to really get your head around is the feeling of the mood tense. So you can start experimenting about where you would use it and listening out for where you hear people using it. I prefer that he stays.
Prefiero que se quede.
I prefer for him to stay. I prefer that he stays.
Prefiero que se quede. Sorry, quede.
Good. Prefiero que se quede. I prefer them
Prefiero
to
se
stay.
quede.
I prefer for them to stay.
Prefiero que se queden.
Prefiero que se queden.
Prefiero que se queden. I prefer that they don't stay here. I prefer that they don't stay here. I
Prefiero que no se queden aquí.
prefer for them not to stay here.
Prefiero que
Prefiero
no se queden aquí.
Good. Prefiero que no se queden aquí. Very good. How would you say, I prefer you to give it to him? I prefer you, speaking informally, to give it to him.
To type
Prefiero que le des
prefer that you give it to him.
Exactly.
Prefiero que lo lea. Se lo des.
That's it. Good.
Se lo
Prefiero que se lo des.
prefiero que se lo des.
So this could mean I prefer you to give it to him, to her. How would we clarify it? If we want to show it to him, I prefer you to give it to him.
Se lo des
Prefiero
a él.
que se lo des a él.
Very good. And what if it was to her?
A ella.
A ella. Prefiero que se lo des a ella.
Good. Prefiero que se lo des a ella. Very good. So to clarify, we can then say a él, a ella, to show afterwards who we meant with se.
Okay, next track.
To count in Spanish is contar, contar,
Contar.
contar. We can see that it's the same word, no? But it's also to recount, like in English how you say to recount a story. So contar, you can also use it like to tell, especially with telling stories. How would you say I tell?
Cuento.
I'm tempted to say cuento.
Cuento, you would be correct. Cuento. Good, the O splits. So cuento is I tell, and cuento is the noun, meaning story. Un cuento is a story. So we can see how contar is to count, but also to recount, or another verb for to tell. C-O-N-T-A-R. So how would you say, I want you to tell me? I want you to recount to me, informally.
Quiero que me cuentes.
Quiero que me cuentes.
Good. Quiero que me cuentes.
Quiero que me
I want you to
cuentes.
tell me something and speaking plurally now, speaking to more than one you.
Quiero que me cuenten algo.
Quiero que me cuenten algo.
Good. Quiero que me cuenten algo. To count on, in the sense of you can count on me, to count on, is contar con. So, to count with in Spanish. So, how would you say, I want you to count on me? I want you to count on me, speaking informally.
Quiero que... Bueno,
Quiero que cuentes conmigo.
Good.
quiero que me cuentes conmigo.
Quiero que cuentes conmigo.
Quiero
Good.
que
I want you to
cuentes
count
conmigo.
on me. Quiero que cuentes conmigo. Very good. So we said that sometimes between English and Spanish that the prepositions might change. We say to count on in English and in Spanish to count with. We also spoke about how we can use the negative language transfer of Spanish speakers speaking English that may make some mistake, and we can make certain assumptions about Spanish through that. So maybe we hear a native Spanish speaker speaking English saying, "You can count with me," and if we hear that a couple of times, we can understand that that's probably how it's said in Spanish. So we can take advantage of any negative language transfer we may hear from Spanish speakers in English. What was to wait or to hope?
Esperar.
Esperar.
Esperar. So if you say I hope that, then of
Espero
course you
que-
will also follow this up with our mood tense. So, how would you say I hope that you count on me informally?
Espero que cuentes conmigo. Espero que cuentes
Espero
conmigo.
que cuentes conmigo.
Good. Espero que cuentes conmigo. Good. I hope that you count on me. Good. How would you say we hope that they count on Maria? We hope that they count on Maria.
Esperamos que cuenten con María.
Esperamos que cuenten con María.
Good. Esperamos que cuenten con María. We hope that they count on Maria. What if you wanted to say, we hope that they tell Maria it, using contar? No? So now,
Esperamos que lo decir goes to lo dichan a María.
now we're using contar to count like to recount. We hope that they recount it to Maria.
Lo
We hope that
dicen
they
a
tell it
María.
to Maria.
Dicen a María.
Esperamos que lo cuenten a
Oh. Esperamos que lo cuenten a María.
María.
Very good. Esperamos que lo cuenten a Maria. So here we have the other meaning of contar, to recount, to tell. What was to see?
Ver.
Ver.
Ver. So if we say, for example, we hope that they see Maria,
Esperamos que van a María. Que van María.
what is they see in the present?
Ven.
Ven.
Then. Now, if you want to make the mood tense and you
Van.
switch to the other side, you would get van, which would probably cause, especially in the optional uses of the mood tense, a lot of confusion because van sounds like
They go.
Like they're going.
yes. So we actually build the mood tense on the I form, which was the only irregular form of ver in the present. Do you remember how to say I see?
Veo.
veo. So we kept the E. So the mood tense is based on this version to avoid any ambiguity that might be caused with va, vas, van. So how would you say, I hope that they see? I hope
Espero
that they
que
see.
vean.
Espero que vean.
Good. Espero que vean. Now, if you want to say, I
Espero
hope
que vean.
that they see Maria, we
Espero
will
que
say
vean
a Maria. Now, the literal translation doesn't make any sense. I hope that they see to Maria.
Espero
In
que
Spanish,
vean a
we have
Maria.
this personal a that we use when we're referring to somebody that we are doing the action of the verb to. So in this case, the person that we are doing the action of seeing to. Espero que vean a Maria. The reason for this is that the order in Spanish is quite flexible. No, words like Maria can come before the verb or after the verb, which might cause confusion about whether Maria is doing or being done to, whether David is doing or being done to. So when it's being done to, we include this a. And when there's not any other preposition there that shows us that we are doing it to. So we saw already, for example, contar con Maria, there we don't need the a. But if there's no other preposition, we will have to put that a. So let's practice this. What is to understand?
Comprender.
Comprender. So how would you say, I hope that you, speaking informally, I hope that you understand David.
Espero que comprendas a David.
I hope that you understand David.
Espero que comprendas a David.
Good. Espero que comprendas a David. How would you say
Espero
the
que
same
comprendas
sentence
a
speaking
David.
formally? I hope that you, formally, I hope that you
Espero que comprenda a David.
understand David.
Espero que comprenda a David.
Good. Espero que comprenda a David. Now we can see why this a is important. Because if it weren't there, if we were to say, espero que comprenda David, it would sound like, I hope that David understands. Because David is flexible. Espero que David comprenda, espero que comprenda David would both mean, I hope that David understands. So, to make it clear, this habit formed in Spanish of putting the a there. For example, the word for man was,
Hombre.
begins with a silent H.
Hombre.
Hombre.
Hombre. The man,
El hombre.
El hombre.
el hombre. If you say to the man, a el hombre, a and el, they stick together and they form al. And it's written like this, al, al hombre. So if you were to say, I want him to see the man, I want that he sees the man, I want that he sees to the man. So how would that
Espero que vea al hombre.
be?
Espero que vea al
Quiero
hombre.
que va,
We go from veo to avoid that ambiguity.
vea.
Uh,
Quiero que vea al hombre.
Good. Quiero que vea al hombre. But if you were to say, I want the man to see, I want that the man sees,
Quiero que el hombre vea.
Quiero que el hombre vea.
quiero que el hombre vea, or quiero que vea el hombre. So because the order is flexible, we can't just put el hombre afterwards and understand from that, I want that he sees the man. If we put el hombre afterwards, we will still understand, I want that the man sees. So we need to say al hombre. What was I like? It pleases me.
Me gusta.
Me gusta. So you could say, I like that the teacher visits. And here we will use the mood tense after I like that, because again you are casting your subjectivity onto the world and you show that with this mood tense. I like that the teacher visits. The teacher, we say the professor, so how is that?
El profesor.
El profesor.
Good.
Me gusta que visite el profesor.
Or for female, for feminine?
La profesora.
Very good. So, either one. I like that the teacher visits.
Me gusta que la profesora visite.
Very good. Me gusta que la profesora visite. Or me gusta que visite la profesora. The order is flexible. Now, if you wanted to say, I like that she visits the teacher, how would that be?
Me gusta que visite al profesor. Al profesor.
Me gusta que visite la profesora.
So I still understand from this sentence, I like that the teacher visits, because the order, the word order, is not changing the information for us, because the word order is flexible. So, me gusta que visite la profesora, I like that the teacher visits. But if we want to make it understood, I like that he visits the teacher, how are we going to clear that up?
Me gusta que visite a la profesora.
Good. Me gusta que visite a la profesora. Very good. So, to clarify, it's not just when there might be some ambiguity that we have to use this personal a. We always need to use this a when the human that we mention is having the action of the verb done to them and there's no other preposition present. Now I say the human, not a human, because it's when we refer to a specific person. And whilst this personal a is generally used with humans, we might also see it as a way of personifying non-humans. So some people use it with pets, for example, or it can be used in some creative ways. For example, a la muerte, escapar a la muerte, to escape death. And using this personal a in this expression personifies death. But generally speaking, we will use it with humans and with specific humans when we are referring to a specific person. So, for example, I need to find the plumber. There we would use the personal a. I need to find a plumber. There we wouldn't. So it's important to listen out for it and to analyze when you hear it, to understand why it was used. And this is the way we internalize these kind of quite specific details that we find in language. And the reason why I keep stressing the importance of listening is to practice this thinking process, to practice analyzing the language and becoming our own teachers. This is how language becomes something fascinating and pleasant to learn instead of frustrating and painful.
Okay, done with language transfer. Now I'm just gonna read the text that I have. Nuestro viaje a España. Ahora mismo es enero en Berlín, donde yo vivo, y el tiempo es terrible. Todos los días está nublado y hace frío. El amanecer es a las 9 y el atardecer a las 4. De diciembre a febrero siempre es oscuro aquí. La oscuridad me cansa. También hace demasiado frío para que mi hijo juegue fuera. Dicho esto, decidimos viajar al sur de España para estar en un lugar cálido. Iremos allí el mes que viene. Volaremos a Valencia y nos quedaremos allí una semana. Ya conocemos bastante bien la ciudad porque pasamos allí 3 meses el año pasado. Estamos encantados de volver. Quiero visitar la misma cafetería al que iba cuando vivíamos allí. Espero que trabajen las mismas personas. Tal vez se acuerden de mí. También reuniremos con algunos amigos. Lo estamos deseando. Vamos a alquilar un coche en Valencia y conduciremos hasta Alicante. Nunca hemos estado allí y nunca he conducido en España. Me preocupa un poco, pero estaremos bien. Alicante es conocida por sus playas. El agua es clara y la arena blanca. No sé qué tipo de comida se come en Alicante, pero supongo que comen mucho pescado. Pasaremos una semana allí y luego volveremos a Valencia. Dormiremos en un hotel porque nuestro vuelo sale muy temprano a la mañana siguiente. Alright, maybe you can tell, but I'm really struggling with my voice right now. So we're gonna call it quits today on day 30.